Oh, this movie. Oh, this one, I'm not gonna lie. This one hurt a little. Let's just get this review over with already. Ahem. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword is the latest film to adapt the classic story of Arthur and Camelot, except this one makes several noticeable changes. For example, in this film, there is no Merlin. Also, it's total bat crap crazy. Guys, I'm going to try to sum up for you how insane this movie is, but nothing can quite capture it. It truly has to be seen to be believed. However, for the love of God, don't see it. I'll start off with some positives. I think there are some nice designs in here. The sets look alright, and some of the monsters look kinda cool, even if both of those things were heavily influenced, if not stolen, from Dark Souls. And there are some ideas in here that actually could turn into a good film. King Arthur wasn't just an orphan in this version, but he was an orphan raised in brothels and on the streets, so he's kind of a cunning thug loaded with street smarts. Okay, I could see how that could be a cool interpretation. His friends are other rowdy thieves with hearts of gold, and they end up becoming his fellow Knights of the Round Table. I can see that being a fun way to build this team. He was trained in Kung Fu. Okay, that sounds kind of weird, but a Kung Fu master in King Arthur's court totally could make for a crazy fun movie. So why is it that everything in this film fails? Well, partly because this movie just tries way too hard to be cool. And not just cool, but the most wicked extreme thing you've ever seen cool. And because of that, it's just noise. Noise, noise, noise. The editing, the effects, the directing, hell, even just the soundtrack itself is nothing but crap being thrown in your face. There are so many brief, tiny shots that look cool. If you saw it just by itself, you would think, oh, that's a pretty cool shot. But then all those shots are slammed together into a massive sped up and slowed down and zipped around montage of quick cuts and effects and loud disgruntled sounds and music that even if something starts off looking good, it eventually looks and sounds like throwing knives into a microwave, then throwing that microwave into a giant garbage disposal. Watch the trailer for this movie. Now speed it up even more than it already is sped up, then hit the loop button on YouTube and watch that for 2 hours. That's the movie. This movie moves so fast and the editing is so jumpy, I had to keep telling myself what was happening in a scene I was watching because it was like trying to identify debris in a tornado. Now, that's not to say it doesn't stop and slow down every now and again, and when it does, it gets so boring I had to fight falling asleep. Nobody in this film is interesting. Nobody has any personality other than just being a cocky British stereotype. You don't feel any attachment for any of them, and everyone is so flat that they don't grab your attention. Whenever this movie slows down, I would just scream out, "Oh my god, something happened." Then something would happen, and I would then scream out, "Oh my god, what is happening?" And even beyond the whirlwind of visuals and sound that is this movie, there are so many dumb parts in this film that I can't even list them all. But I sure am gonna try. They constantly pull the old "I'll explain my plan while we cut to the plan being pulled off" trick, and it loses its charm fast. It rips off the design and creatures of everything from Lord of the Rings to the Little Mermaid. The villain has no motivation for why he is the villain. The all is lost moment in the film is solved within 90 seconds. The child actor playing Arthur is the least emoting kid I've ever seen. Although, speaking of bad acting, there is one performance in here that I honestly had to question if they weren't just a speak and spell robot brought to life, and at the end of the film, one of the characters whips out a power that made me honestly ask, I'm sorry, could you have done that the whole time? That literally would have fixed all your problems if you could just do that whenever you wanted to. And you know what the worst part of all of this is? It's that as bad as this film is, I've still seen so much worse. Yeah, this movie is bad, but when I compare it to my worst of the year list from last year and the year before, it wouldn't have made it onto either of those lists. As much as I dislike this movie, there are some interesting ideas in here, and I have to, well, applaud is a strong word, so let's go with recognize. I have to recognize that somebody had some interesting ideas, And as I said, even if they did rip off everything in this film, they still made it look cool. And because of that, it'll probably be saved from my worst of the year list, but it still gets a 3 out of 10. That's it for this episode of Thorgi Mini Reviews. If you want to see our spoiler talk for this film where I just go completely off and try and make sense of this madness, then click right there. Also follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgi, and come back next week for another mini review. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next time.